There we go. Awesome. All right. So today is such a good day because we have a special speaker who you might enjoy hearing it from someone different because some of you are just sick and tired of hearing from me, right? So I love when I can get someone else in there that has really good experience in what it takes to transition your business from being just a solo and agent, getting started in your business, getting going, and take it off to another level. I call it kind of turning a regular agent out showing houses, doing things into full-on entrepreneurship, running it like it's a business versus running it flying by the seat of your pants just to pay the
Mhm.
bills. You have an opportunity here to run a very high producing, high sales business if you run it right, or you just flying by the seat of your pants and there's no structure to your monotony. So thank you, Jeff. So I've Jeff Wills in here. Jeff's been, how long you been in Idaho?
My whole life, I was born and raised in Cuna. I'm a Cuna kid. My dad worked, for those in Idaho, my dad worked at the sugar factory there. And so he was like the assistant superintendent, ran the sugar factory. So yeah, born and raised in good
Born
old
and
Cuna,
raised.
if you know where that's at.
And well, it shows here that you did leave for a while. In your little description you gave me that you were in Portugal for a while and you're fluent in Portuguese, and I'm jealous as jealous can be because my grandpa's full-blooded Portuguese. I'm a quarter, and my grandpa spoke it, but my dad did not. So I only know a few bad words. That's all I know.
Yeah, well, there's more than a couple, especially if Portugal goes down 0-1 to any country in any soccer game. So it
Oh,
gets really bad.
oh yeah, yeah. That's when it gets crazy.
Viva
I went to Boise
Portugal.
State, worked at CBH Homes for a bit, learned the art of new construction. And it says you worked at, so you're the owner of Do Work Realty. Awesome. Been
Mhm.
in the business 17 years, top producing annually. You were the VP of Career Development at a previous brokerage where you helped people transition in a 10-week course transitioning in the real estate. I think that's most people's struggle is they
Yeah.
get started and they don't know where to start. They don't know what to do.
Well, a 2-week course doesn't help very much. And
No.
a lot of people will teach you what a S cheat means and what that little, what for old people going 35 into 60. Great. I'm so glad we learned
Yeah.
that in real estate school.
Oh yeah.
But there's no baseline on anything in regards to actually how to run a real estate company, how to even be a successful realtor as a solo agent alone. So yeah, there's a lot of missing steps on education, I think, in our industry, but that's what
Yeah.
we got.
Well, your team's been really successful. And so congratulations on the success. It's been great. Just
Thank you.
what's the secret sauce? What is it? What are you doing to help these agents get into production and stay into production?
I think the big thing is I had to create the production myself long before there was anyone else besides myself. I had to have a vision of where I wanted to go. And like that's kind of why I've started, in the space of coaching is because there's a lot of agents who should just get out, honestly. Like, people get excited by, multiplying a big number by 0.03 and they get, whoa, real estate, right? And it's like, well, it's so much more than that.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, if that's your only thing you're staring down the pipe at, you're not going to be staring at it very long because it's so much more impactful to people's lives. But along the way, as things continue to snowball in my career, it just got to the point where there was enough opportunity. It was like, well, I can continue to do this on my own, or I can have this thing that's already growing transition into a space where I can have more impact on the consumers that I serve, but also have a different level of impact based on bringing people onto the team,
Mm.
onto a team. And if you would have asked me that when Rhonda Conger at CBH Homes slid over a piece of paper that looked kind of like this, being like, you can make $54,000 if you work really hard from this tier, was ever
Yeah.
going to be in my future, I've been like, no, like, I mean, I go to CUNA. I spell caveman with a K. Like what is run a team? Like in real estate,
Yeah.
I had no idea I would be sitting here today at the end of our fifth annual team retreat, in correspondence with our preferred lender and her entire team, coming off of just an amazing weekend and gearing up for 2025. So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people get into this and they see teams and they think, "Oh my goodness, that I want to run a team. That way I
yeah.
can make money off of agents." And that's not what we do. We
Mm-mm.
we like we have to show that we have the production. It's usually what a team is. I have so much production. I need some help.
Yeah.
So I'm going to bring on a partner and we're going to kind of leverage some of these leads I've got or some of this work because I have what I did to be successful. So now I need to share it so I can keep doing those things, and then I can teach you what I did too. And then now we're it's a winning game for us all, right?
Right. Well, and I think it comes down to is like, what is it you want? Right. Like my coaching stuff that I'm doing with agents and transitioning from that sole agent to like a small team, it's not for everybody. Like what's really cool about real estate is you could have a massive 25-person team. You can start a small brokerage. You can do what I do and have a small team that I manage. And I love doing it and I love showing up and practicing real estate on a daily basis. Or you can be a solo agent. But like I think it's hard because we get into it and we get so excited about helping buyers and sellers transition and do the process. And we kind of just jump in. And
Yeah.
because it's allowed, kind of, you just jump in like, here we go. I got a buyer. Someone told me to do an open house. So I'm working with the buyer. Here we go. And hopefully that snowballs. But there's a lot of things you can do early on to save yourself a lot of heartache as your business continues to grow. So you don't have to take like 16 steps back to actually implement some of the foundational things so that when you do get to that point where there's so much going on, you can easily hand it off to someone else without interrupting the entirety of your actual work processes, your CRM. I mean, something as simple as a CRM. I mean, it, there are a lot of agents I think who get to a point where their annual production just caps out because there's only so many hours in the day. There's only so
Mhm.
much you can do. If you're unwilling to do this, let go of something.
Yeah.
You got to let go of something. But how do you let go of something and give it to someone else if you haven't built it in such a way that it's transferable or it's like it's documented or it, there's just these things that like I didn't know. Like I had to learn them the hard way and I had to take all the steps backwards. But there's just so many things you'll never be able to pass on to someone else to allow your business to transition from that solo agent mentality into that team mentality because you don't even have the systems in place or the foundational things in place to allow that actual human being, another person, to step into your world and help you, take care of your clients.
Hmm. That's so good. So take us back through that 10-week course. Like, what does it usually start out looking like when you get someone who has no experience? What are the first couple weeks at least starting to look like? How you teach them these good habits?
I think the first thing you teach any new agent is that there's no such thing as a secret agent.
Oh man, that's so
You
true.
can't be a secret agent. You have to let people know what's going on. Like the number one thing I hear, especially this time of year in real estate offices, is people are getting so excited about the thing I want to punch in the face every time I hear it. Not them, but the thing. If this thing had a face, I would punch it in the face. Their newsletter. Blah.
Yeah.
A newsletter. You know, do newsletters? Agents who have the time to do a newsletter.
Yeah.
And it's like, I get it. You want to put something together, but an agent will spend an entire week in a room working on their newsletter, not talking to anyone, and get so excited and put like, the cool little apple pie recipe they got from grandma over Thanksgiving break. And they're excited about it. And here we go. Right. And then they send it out.
Yeah.
And then
And
the
they're
week's
waiting,
gone.
they're waiting for the phone to ring. Oh my goodness. It's gonna ring any minute.
Yeah.
Someone's gonna
It's going to
call
be
me.
no. But even if you did get someone to call you, let's say it worked phenomenally. Let's say you got 5 phone calls, 4 people ready to sell their home, and 2 people go like you have 6 leads. You're going to be so busy. Are you going to do the newsletter next month?
Yeah, no.
No, it's not repeatable. So even like backing up to this thing of like, okay, as I am a solo agent and making decisions on the lead gen activities I'm going to bring in, what are the things twofold? Are they repeatable? Are they repeatable when I'm busy and I don't have the time to do them? And then can someone else do them at some point, or can someone else transition to like take it off my plate entirely when the time's right? It may not be right today, but as agents, we're not even thinking about that. Like we're just like, what do I do to like throw something in front of someone that tells me like that I'm alive and well and doing real estate, which is good in the beginning. But if you could like have any forethought in regards to like, okay, am I going to pick up this expense, this time sucking activity called lead gen, which it is, but also has a return. Obviously, that's why we do it. But will I ever be able to repeat it when I'm actually busy? And could it grow into something bigger down the road? Or can I even does it even have the ability to be, I call like multiplied? And what I mean by multiply, there's plenty of lead gen activities you can multiply just by, like, for example, an open house. You do an open house for an agent that's not your listing. Yeah, you can go sit there for 4 hours and talk to everyone who comes in. Did you do any social media reels while you were there? Did you pre-market it? Did you knock to all the neighbors and invite them out and leave a business card? It's like, but doesn't I hate news. Sometimes newsletters get a bad rap. And if you do a newsletter and you're listening, good for you. As long as you're consistent with it and have the time to do it, great. But most of the people don't because it's not something, it takes so much creative juice and energy that you're literally are allowing yourself to remove the most important thing, that belly belly connection with people,
Mm.
and trick yourself and lie to yourself that you're working in real estate. And then on top of it, it's not something that's repeatable, which is the most tragic thing because it's gonna go away at some point.
Yeah,
So why even
yeah, you
start it?
stop. Yeah, I talked to a couple different coaching clients this last week that said they actually got new escrows this week. Oh, goodness, talking about the lag measures. We got a new lag measure. Great. What'd you do? How'd you get it? Where'd you get the lead? Oh, it was an open house I did back in November, October. Awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds like you should be doing open houses every week. And by the way, when you're doing an open house, do you know you're required? You should be required, but most people don't put that R word in their sentence. You should
Mm-hmm.
be required to door knock it before and
Mm-hmm.
meet people because that's why you're doing the open house is to meet people. But for some reason, over the last 10 years, people got away from the most important part about doing an open house. Either door knock it used to be Friday before, Friday evening, or Saturday morning. No one's doing it. They
Yeah.
forgot how to do open houses. They just think they put a sign out front and hope people show up.
When you have to become so systematic in what you're doing that and document it. That's the big thing. Like once you have success in something and you document it, and you document it in such a way, now you can either train someone to do it or list give them the bullet points on how to do a good open house. So I think that's the big thing is like agents are really good at, well, sometimes they can be really good at finding the lead gen things that they like to do. But they don't think beyond that. They don't think beyond, okay, like they don't think beyond it until it's too late.
Mm,
And so what I mean by that is I think most real estate agents are entrepreneur minded. Like we have the ability to look at work and not look at it as work. Like this is part of my business. But it's up until the point you add someone to your team or add someone into your realm, it's just you're a solo agent. And there's nothing wrong with that. You might be listening to this right now and being like, this guy's crazy because I don't ever want to do anything besides my own thing. That's great. But if you ever get to the end of the year and you're like, I did 15 deals again, like I wanted to do more. And the next year I did 15 deals again, I wanted to do more. It might just be that if you're actually doing all your lead gen things and doing it the right way, you're just running out of time. It's not your fault. You just don't have it's just there's a cap on it. I always like to use the analogy of I'll ask everyone out here, is there a difference between a hairstylist and a salon owner?
hmm,
Yeah, because what happens to the hairstylist the second they put down their shears?
yeah,
They stop
they're
making money.
they're unemployed.
They're unemployed. But an actual um, salon owner, they could participate and be doing hair. They probably would because they started the establishment, but they don't have to.
Hmm,
They've created something in such a way that now as things flow in, they don't have to be touching every single head of hair. Thank God. That's a lot of hair.
yeah.
And you're all probably looking at me and be like, is this guy talking about hair? Yeah, I probably should probably come up with a different analogy. But
But I'll tell you, I've never had anyone use that concept. You take the concept and use a hairstylist, and
I
it
think it's a
makes
great
so much
analogy.
sense. Yeah, it makes so much sense.
Yeah.
So good. I mean, because when I first started getting busy back in the day, and I finally hit that number of 50, I was like, okay, how am I going to transition to the next step? Because a person you can handle 20 listings. Sure. You're going to need a good assistant though to help you. You can't handle 20 buyers. So how do I keep that going to make this more money now? How do I transition to that next step? Well, I was on a team, but I still hired
okay.
somebody. I hired somebody and I paid them per closing to be my go-to to do meet clients for if they wanted to get into the house, meet inspectors, so that now I'm able to go out and get another one and
Mhm.
keep doing it. Ended up doing over 80 that year, but that's what it took to transition to that was I needed to get some help. I can't do it on my own. There's no
No,
way. You got to
no,
transition. You got to think like a CEO. Think like a CEO. How are you running this?
that's that's right there. No one. So like, yeah, most of the weekend, just so you know, I did look like this. Like, okay, here we go. We're doing my thing.
Yeah.
I'm a CUNA kid, for heaven's sakes. I mean, I'm 40 years old and steer my hat backwards. That's just what I do.
Yeah.
But
I'm
but this
48 and I wear it
but
backwards.
this lie, this hat represents the lie that people tell people in real estate. Hey, you be a real estate license, become a realtor. Oh, I'm gonna help people buy and sell homes.
Yeah.
This hat. Wrong. This hat, you're the CEO, you're the CFO, you're the head of marketing, you're head of client retention,
Mhm.
you're literally everything. And that's fine and dandy. And every single person's capacity to do it with all the hats is different. But at some point, you have to realize like I either have to be okay with this annual production forever, or it's growing in such a way because people love me because I do a really damn good job of what I do. It's not going to stop growing. So either I'm going to limit myself based on, and it's usually one of two things. One, they are self-limited or have a limited point of view of like the money they're going to lose by bringing someone on. Like, oh, I've earned all this. If I give half of
Oh
it to
yeah.
a buyer's agent, like I'm not, there goes all my income. Are you kidding me? Do you know how much more you're going to be able to do with your time now to leverage more opportunities? That's number one. So, but that's a very limiting belief. I think that's the second one though, but this is the number one most limiting belief of every agent who's at that spot. And there's a lot of people get to that spot. And I think real quick, like bookmark, why I get so passionate about this is because those agents who get to that point, we need you. Like, we need you to be here. Like, real estate is this collaborative, competitive place. All buyers, most of my buyers have always bought another agent's home.
Mm.
Always. We need you. And on top of that, the 80-20 principle is so real. 80% of the agents out there are horse honky.
Hmm.
Like, and I hate to say that, but they are because they got in for all the wrong reasons and they're not doing it for the right reason. Would anyone have need to do brain surgery and go to someone who does it 2 or 3 times a year?
Mm.
No, no one would ever go to a brain surgeon that does that. But they'll put their biggest financial asset into someone's mom's best friend's cousin's niece down the road's, sister got a real estate license last week because, otherwise Aunt Gina's going to be upset. Who cares about Aunt Gina?
Yeah.
Right. But my point is, I get to this point of like caring about these people that are at this tipping point because we need them to be successful. But here's the number one thing that most people why they won't why they won't get to that next spot is because they're not willing to let go of the thing that they so lovingly created, which is totally fine. It makes sense,
It's
and it's
understandable.
hard. So many people, it's so understandable. But I have this analogy, and it's my snake tamer analogy, right? So you come with me on a buy as a buyer. We're going to cross the safari of buying a home, and there's some tall, scary grass, and I know there's a snake in there somewhere. It might be the inspection, it might be the other agent, it might be that rotten appraiser. There's a snake somewhere, right? And if I let anyone else take you across the safari, you're going to get bit and die.
Oh
But
my
here's
goodness.
what I've learned. There are safari people that are so much better than you at doing that.
Oh, good. Yes.
So much better. And the second you see it, you're going to be like, I'm not ever going to cross to that high grass safari ever again. Ever. Ever. But like until you let someone else do it, it's impossible to do because here's the thing. The good news is that you're not doing it because you care
Yeah.
about the consumer. That's a really good thing. But like until you take that first step into the reality of, okay, I'm letting someone else do this, the rest of the lights won't turn on. It's like walking to that darkened warehouse with the auto lights, where at first you can't see anything besides the 5 feet in front of you, and you finally take that first step, and then lo and behold, you're like, oh, okay. And then you keep walking. But I won't name names because like that's not what I do. But I know of a very prominent agent just recently whose business was thriving, but the fundamental things were not put in place to
Mm.
actually allow anyone to come in and take things off this agent's plate, to the point that this top producing realtor's selective decision was to give up 50% of it and join a team.
And I know the agent, and I actually had a conversation with that agent about this exact thing. And I even said, I will help you hire an individual that you'll probably pay $40,000 a year to do 90% of the work you want to do. That was a
Right.
year ago. I had that conversation. So it's a problem.
Well,
Talk.
it's a problem, but you don't know until you're neck deep in it, right? And there's no one telling agents along the way. There's no one. There's no one being like, "Hey, you ought to be doing this. You ought to be doing that." Because first of all, how does a broker? People are like, "Well, the broker should do it." Well, really, a broker's going to be able to take the likes of a first agent and someone like in our industry, like a Matt. I love Matt Balsher, so I'll use him as an industry. A Matt Balsher, like they're so different. How do you? That's completely different. So it really boils back to which is January. This is my favorite part of this.
Yep.
You have to make the decision what it is you want. You have to have some forethought about what is it that I want. Do I want to be a solo agent? Maybe that's what you want. Maybe that time that you have not bringing someone on, like maybe that's all that you want. Great. But if you ever want to take it to the next step, there are just things you have to be putting in place. Otherwise, you're going to get the growth won't stop because you're so darn good at what you do. People will continue to talk about you and opportunities will continue to show up
Mm.
until you get stretched more and stretched more and stretched more. So either you're going to build your small business or you're going to give it, you're either going to build your own small business or you're going to give the production of that small business to another bigger business that's going to be able to step in and take care of all the things that you weren't willing to create around you when you should have.
Yeah.
It's just the reality of it, which is sad because you're the one that did all the work. You're
Yeah.
the one that people love, you know?
If we were to break this down into a brand new agent just getting started, and we got a brand new agent just getting going, their most important job, you said in the beginning, is meeting people, creating
Mm-hmm.
relationships. That's always your job, by the way, as a realtor. You're always about, it's a business of creating new contacts, bringing new contacts. It's a contact sport. And so we're sitting there doing that, all right? Think about this, all right? You're spending all day on Friday trying to figure out how to make KV Core work and do this specific thing, right? Trying to figure it out. And it could take you a while and you could do it yourself. It's great, but how many other people could you have been contacting during that time that is actually going to bring you? You could have been doing an open house. Sure. You could have been door knocking for the open house. You could have been actually talking to more people and bringing more opportunities. But I need to get this newsletter. I need to get this market update going up. I need to get this going. Great. I agree. Sure, get it going. But I could probably pay somebody $200 to set it up for me while I go out and door knock someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And there's people that know KV Core, like, I mean, in Homes of Idaho brokerage, and there's a lot of California people on here too. You want somebody that can set up your market plan for you, set up things in there, set up your campaigns. I've got somebody, and it probably won't cost you hardly anything at all because you shouldn't be spending all day setting up those systems, even if you're brand new. You can have somebody else do that while you go do what you need to be doing is become the celebrity of the area. You need to
Right.
become a celebrity agent of the area. That's how you're going to sell at a top level. Spend more time touching, making more contacts to your sphere of influence, more contacts to your own neighborhood. How many of you door knock your own neighborhood? Aren't you sick and tired? Farming isn't just farming a neighborhood,
Mm-hmm.
by the way. You're also farming your SOI. You're systematically touching everybody you know and adding new people to your database every day. I hate seeing a new sign going up in my neighborhood. I know I failed, but I'm also not in full production anymore.
There's a stepping tier to real estate. I think a lot of people get in, and I was the same way when I sat, like I said, when I sat across from Marna Conger and she sent me that little piece of paper. I was looking at it 1000% like a job. It's a job. Okay, cool. I like people. I think I like sales. I didn't really know what real estate was at the time. It was just crazy to think back on that time. But okay, it's a job. And it's okay. I'm not saying that's bad. But if you're going to have tenure in this industry, there's kind of two things that happen. And I mean, if anyone wanted to chime in and give me their story of this, because I guarantee if people have been in it long enough, there's something like this that happened. But there's a story that takes place where it goes from a job to a career. And to me, I was at CBH Homes for 2.5 years, and I was probably in the industry another three. So almost 5 years before I had this moment where I'm like, oh, okay. And it was a single dad. I was helping as a buyer look for homes. And he's a dude's dude. I don't know if people in Cali know what Tate's Rents is, but he's a manager of Tate's Rents. It's a dude's dude, right?
Got it.
And find him a home. Everything's great. We're at the closing table. And he's bawling, like crying. I'm like, what the? I'm like, dude, are you okay? And he goes, I'm just so happy my daughters have a backyard to play in again. And I was
Wow.
like, I would do this for free.
Yeah.
But also, not only would I do it for free, this is the first time like this sense of responsibility just washed over me. I'm like, I better, pardon my French, but I better have my shit together. I better know the market's what's going on in the market. I better know every single loan type. The next time someone like this like crosses me, I better understand, the FHA and VA requirements for a house, so I don't get someone investing their money in something and they don't get the house they want. I better understand and do some reading in regards to how to negotiate a contract or how to negotiate better on behalf of my clients, so that I don't prevent this real life moment for someone to take place. It just shifted everything. It went from like, oh, I got a commission check, to being like, not like, if I didn't do this right, this guy would still be in an apartment with his kids. That's a level of responsibility that gets put on top of your shoulders. And I think, to me, it's the same thing, that it's like it corresponds with, this is, I'm a solo agent. And that's not necessarily, because you can still have that moment, but now, okay, this is a small business. It's no longer just me. It's so much bigger than me, right? And if you're doing your business in the right way in real estate, it's going to grow, because people, there's so many agents who aren't, right? And so when people get really good service, they want to tell their friends and family about it. And so
Mm.
it's going to grow. I don't know if I know I does anyone else have a quick story they want to share in regards to that? Because I always love hearing those stories, because this, what we do, is so much more impactful than what people think on the outskirts. And so we're amongst friends here. So if anyone has a cool story, I'd love to hear it.
While we're waiting for someone to speak up, that goes as well as these online leads you're working. Exactly what he said. A lot of these online leads, you'll call them multiple times. Just think about it in a totally different light. These people are nervous. That's why they're not really ghosting you. They're just nervous to connect with you. You could totally change someone's life if you
Mhm.
did the job you're supposed to do and continue to call them till you get them on the phone and just explain, hey, it's not that scary of a process. There's going to be times, believe me, I'm with you along the way. Every single part of this, I'm going to be with you, walk you through it. I'm going to make it as simple as possible for you. Help you make decisions. Although you're going to make the decisions, I'm going to give you some tools to make the decision. And now you're treating these online leads who you're so nervous, or you get frustrated because they never call you back, that well, it doesn't matter what kind of lead it is, what I'm saying. But these online leads are the same. I mean, I know there's been some good stories. I've had some really good stories myself where people thought they would never be able to own a home in their life, but I consistently kept in touch with them. I kept trying to talk to them, and eventually they said, yeah, I do want to try. Okay, let's see if we can get qualified. Next thing you know, what, they're buying their first house, crying on my shoulder in happiness. Holy mackerel. There's been so many opportunities to help people and just change their life. I know Mimi Peralta's on here. She's had some amazing, amazing opportunities to bless people. So, any
I
good story?
have. I just don't have a voice this morning. I'm sick.
Oh
My
no.
gosh,
Or
poor
or
thing.
I would totally share.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
worries, Mimi. But
Well, I have one to share. I
go
came
ahead.
from one service industry on the opposite side of the spectrum to this, and recently. So I'm in my just starting the third year of this thing. So I am just totally addicted to helping these people, and I'm going to totally steal the safari and the snake thing, just so you
Yeah,
know. I
please
played it
do.
down as a compliment. But that's pretty cool. I liked how that went. So, but it's an awesome responsibility helping these people that don't know anything about this process,
Mm,
and reassuring them and comforting them through that process. I'm working with a client right now. We're in escrow that is buying his first home at 50 years old, and
50.
so
Wow.
just yeah, and so he was a referral, and he's just so grateful for me taking the time. And it's on the lower end of it, but it doesn't matter to me. It's that connection that you're making, because I'm probably going to get 3 or 4 referrals from this guy just because I'm working hard for him, and that's just such a rewarding thing that it just touches me when you see these people's gratitude when they get those keys.
Mm, so amazing. Definitely.
Well, and like, I'm at, spend enough time around Jeff Wills, you'll learn that I'm an analogy. I love analogies. I was like, analogies everywhere. But like what you just said, getting that keys are such a rewarding moment. I've always used the other analogy I've always used in real estate is Mount Everest. Real estate is not Uber Eats. No one comes over to your house and puts it on your doorstep and helps you chew for you.
Yeah.
No, it's not that. Like, the consumer's involved in the process, and that's kind of twofold. One, you have to remember that they we don't get to dictate their timelines and everything else they got going on in their life, right? But when they're ready, they're ready. And guess what? The fact that you're on this call, I can promise you, you are a damn good Sherpa. You can get them to the top of the mountain, right? There might be some unexpected, things happen at base camp too, in regards to no one saw coming, but we're the professional. We can get there. And you're right. There's nothing more rewarding than summiting and see that person actually get their keys, or see that that now solo spouse sell the home that their husband passed away, and now they're transitioning into something they can actually afford, or whatever it is. Or I mean, even every summit's different, right? Every summit's different. You could have two people going through a divorce, and you have to show up to that base camp one way different than the happy-go-lucky first-time home buyers. Like, they're not very happy to be at base camp, but like we still got to go to the top of the mountain. Like, here we go. So yeah, it's a huge responsibility we have. But yeah, you're right. Every single time you summit to the top and you get to see the experience, it's absolutely rewarding.
Is my mic on?
It's addicting.
Yes, it is. I can hear you. Hey,
Yeah.
Doris.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Did I come to the right class? So this Zoom today, thank you for all your shares. This Zoom meeting today, what is the topic again? Is it going from like a single agent to starting a group?
This is a coaching call, and yeah, so we're kind of talking about basically running your business like a CEO, running your business like an entrepreneur, but we are talking about the starting, how you get there. So
okay. So quick question: Do you guys have any really good takeaways as far as like, okay, I'm a single agent. Say I wanted to start my own group. What's your guys' advice there? I heard a little bit about setting it up so that you can turn it over to, whether that be take time off. That's the one thing I gathered at the beginning, but what are some other things that you would recommend with your experience? Like, what's the process of that? Did you get training from somebody? Did you take specific management classes? Go ahead.
Well, definitely you should consistently every day train. So that's definitely an important thing, adding new tools to your tool belt every single day. But like Jeff had talked about early on in the beginning, one is you've got to create your perfect systems that work for you, that are transferable. You're basically going to eventually create an opportunity to have residual income in a way. But you've got to create the systems first. You create the system that works for you. Because some people, they only do farming. That's it. But they've perfected it to the point to where they can now teach a partner to do it so that they can work on another aspect of the business. Is it a sphere of influence? I mean, if you asked, I would say 99% of top producing agents out there, and you ask them where they get the majority of their business from, they'll tell you SOI. It's a huge number is sphere of influence. So you've always got to have that as part of your lead gen. It needs to be sphere of influence. It's nurturing your people. And the difference between a sphere of influence is there's a watered down SOI and a non-watered down SOI. A watered down SOI is you met someone in an open house, they don't know you yet. Your non-watered down SOI is you know them. You know them, they know you, you know each other by name. So those people need to be a specific part of your business. So have you perfected that to the point to where you can now bring on some help and teach them how to help keep in touch with your SOI? So you're leveraging that out. Does that mean you're out of the business and you're not talking to your people anymore? No, you need to have a time to talk to your people too, but there's so many, really should be doing 100 touch plan per year where you're touching your SOI 100 different times a year. So you got to perfect your plan. And that way you can mimic it and pass it off or be able to teach it and show it.
Got it.
Anything else on that, Jeff?
I think that, Doris, the other big thing is just having a mentality shift in how you present yourself to the world. Like, if I were to call any of your voicemails, like right now, is it being presented like it's a small business, or is it, hey, like, you got this one solo person, which is fine, but like, just even little things like that, like, what's your voicemail say? Are you setting it up so that if someone were to leave you a voicemail, they understand they're not going to get a call back until tomorrow's during business hours? Like, it's actually, you're running a small business. And like, do you have a Google My Business page?
Did you call my phone, Jeff?
No, I didn't call your phone.
I better check that.
Calling to test and make sure
Actually, no, that's awesome, because I think mine is not It's
Well,
not.
so many agents do that too, and the professional signature line too. You don't need a crazy, huge, weird signature line, but to have a signature line proving that you're a legitimate business, you're running a business. I see a lot of agents that have no signature lines, no
Mm,
voicemail, and some of them are just the regular old Verizon, leave a message. I mean, I
right.
love that, Jeff. Running a business like a business. Are you running it like a business?
Yeah. I'm a, first of all, I hate the narrative. It's dumb. What I'm about to say, it's so stupid. It's so overplayed. However, it exists in the world. And if you're part of the world, you got to act like a business professional and participate in it. But how many people still have, well, I don't even know the zip code from Cali. Give me a zip code, 835 zip code, area, zip code, or
93291.
yeah. I
93291.
mean, how many people, now, should it make any difference for someone to see that on your business card? No, it shouldn't. But in Idaho, does it? If you're from Idaho, sure, it sure does. So,
Mhm.
are you running your business in such a way that it looks, feels, and talks like a business? How many times, I know Sean's probably going to just like, they probably have to go. I don't even know. You're going to lose your mind when you say this because I guarantee Sean's heard this way more than anyone else. But I just like using my Excel spreadsheet.
Mm.
Oh,
Yep.
cool. I guess you like being a solo agent then, and that's totally fine. It's not me talking down to you, but if you're wanting to transition, you have to have the systems in place to bring someone in to help manage that CRM. You can't train someone to help you like, hey, I just did my open house. Here's the 10 people I just did my open house with. I need you to upload them to the CRM and send them what we send the 2 or 3 people I got their address to, their handwritten note.
Yeah.
Well, okay, you want me to add that to your Excel spreadsheet? Like what? Like that's not a business,
Yeah.
right? And having an Excel spreadsheet might be the best thing for an agent in year 1 and year 2, and they might love it. But you get to a point, if you want the growth, you have to start acting that way, which means you're going to have to do the 2 things. Well, it's one thing. You have to invest in either your time or your money. And eventually, time is going to run out because you only got so much of it. The only other one is going to be the money aspect of it, but it doesn't mean that you invest your money just frivolously. Yeah, man, if I signed up for every lead gen phone call I got from someone trying to sell me the next doohickey thing online or whatever, I would make no money.
Yeah.
But I've had to make the decision, by God, these are going to be the things within my team structure. These are the lead gen things we're going to focus on long term. And not only are we going to focus on them, but there's buy-in. We just had a massive buy-in this weekend from my team in regards to what are the lead gen things we're going to focus on. So now there's buy-in. Now we're going to put energy and time behind it. And I wouldn't let something come to the table that would be a time suck or something that would not be repeatable once we were busy. So you have to like safeguard the lead gen activities you're doing. There's 1,000 different ways you can do lead gen. I mean, more than 1,000.
Oh,
But
yeah.
one, do you enjoy it? I think that's the biggest thing ever. If there's a lead gen activity you don't like doing, stop doing it. Like you should like roll out of bed in the morning and be like, sweet, I got to go do lead gen today. And if that's like, oh, I don't want to knock another door, then don't knock another door. Just find something else to do and do that well. By God, I can't. I think about like sometimes I'm showing a home and like everyone's had this where a buyer's like, oh, none of the homes we like. Can we just go look at this home that we just saw this morning? And you're like, beep, boop, beep, blah, 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 blah. Go. Can you imagine do that in 1984? No,
Yeah.
like that wasn't an option. You know what wasn't an option? Doing lead gen on Pinterest. That wasn't an
Yeah.
option. You had to buy a
Mm.
billboard. That was it. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So like it takes, if you're going to transition this thing away from just being like whatever organically flows my way, you have to also like be intentional on what you're doing with your lead gen stuff. And yes, I'm the same way as you guys. Anytime a coach says you need a time block, it's like bleh, my eyes roll. Like time block and scripts. I'm like, can we do anything else besides those 2 things? The answer is really no. The answer is no, you can't. But you get to choose what you put into those things. As far as lead gen and time, you get to choose what you do with the scripts and make them your own, so you don't become a stumbling block. And unless you have the things and know the things to say to buyers and sellers, you're never going to be able to train your first buyer's agent on how to deal with those problems.
Yeah.
So it's to me, I think the biggest thing is just you have to have this mentality shift about, a lot. I'm not a single agent anymore. I'm running a small business. And every single decision I make moving forward is with the intent that I'm going to take off one of the hats. I don't even want to wear this hat anymore. Like this one solo hat. Like I want someone else to wear the hat that does X, Y, and Z. And this person over here as well. And then you hire accordingly based on that, which is its own fun thing in regards to building something is the people aspect. So
running your business like a business, running it so that you have to do something every day. So you're going to work, you're going to work for somebody, you're going to do something. You got to set your schedule up right so you're actually doing it every day, but you get to choose what you want to do. So this is the day in the life of a realtor right here, right? And what we're doing is we're choosing what to do, but we've got a time block. I mean, yeah, time block. I know I hate it, just like Jeff said, I do too, but it's required. But guess what? You get to, like Jeff said, you get to do what you want. This lead generation prep time, this lead generation time, it's got to be there every day, guys. You've got to have it, but you get to choose what you want to plug into it. What are your things you enjoy? What is it that you enjoy to do, knowing that if you did it and you didn't pick anyone up today, you didn't get a call today, you didn't get something today, I'd be all right because I still enjoyed the task, which is communication, contacts. I had great conversations today. That's all right. Everything we do in real estate isn't for today. Occasionally we get lucky and that happens. It's usually for 1 to 3 months from now, sometimes 2 years. But we've got to keep doing it consistently every day. You can't not do it. You got to have this schedule set up and just put yourself to work. Just plug it in. I got one more
also
thing
there's
along with this. Go ahead.
well, I was just going to say, I mean, that's just kind of the mentality. So there's a mentality shift, in my opinion. There's a lead gen shift, in my opinion. I'm no longer just doing this as a job. It's a career mentality shift as well. But then there's just the logistics around business. I mean, have you formatted an LLC? Have you gone through the process of making sure that your CRM is, and then I don't, if the brokers are on here, that's fine. I would never, ever, ever, ever use a brokerage CRM unless I had the absolute rights to it to take it with me when I left. Like, are you structuring it in such a way that as you grow, like, you know what, I left my brokerage, but in 4 years from now, I may not be the right place I want to be at. So when I leave, do I have to go begging for my contacts? Do I have to do a massive CRM transition and waste all my time and energy doing that? Or do I change one logo at the bottom of the screen that no one even notices, but it's now in correspondence with IREC? You know what I mean? Like, are you doing every single thing in such a way that as you make those future moves, if needed, even if you don't want to, it's kind of like a prenup. Am I making the decisions right now that I don't really want to have to think about, but if I needed to, I put my business in such a place that is protected. There's a company, I love the guy, I won't even bring him up his name, but there's a company in Idaho called Do Work University. And just happened to be that we were growing our businesses. I know him well. We're good friends. I actually use some of his services, but I had to go out and get it. I got Do Work Realty trademarked. Talk about being an adult. I got something trademarked because I was worried that maybe one day he's such entrepreneurial, he could step in and start his own brokerage.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do that, but I was treating it like a business. You know what I mean? Like, there's this, you have to, I don't know. There's even from the side of like, am I running it like systematically in regards to how it breaks down with taxes and everything else? Like, it's not, and for a long time, I got paid. My commission check said Jeffrey Wills until the IRS was like, yeah, you probably shouldn't do that. I mean, they didn't say that. They said, keep doing it. My accountant said, you probably shouldn't be doing that. But even looking at it from that perspective, like, you got to set it up as a team and as a business.
So I like that concept. And so I always, I'm a broker owner, so I do give a CRM to everyone, and it's an amazing CRM. It works great. I love it. Okay. I use it myself still, but I also have another one I've used forever. And that one our leads do flow in there. I always have them secured there, and that's still a very prominent website nationally. And we get leads through it all the time. Great. So I had an agent in our brokerage that left this last week. I've been trying to help him for a while, but he really, really wanted this certain CRM that he had at his other brokerage, and it helped him sell real estate, he said, organically. Okay, organically, not proactively. Organically, he swears that 2 years ago, his business was amazing. And when he's transitioned over to Legacy, his business went away because he didn't have that one CRM anymore. So I said, okay, so you're telling me you like Legacy, you like our brokerage, right? And you don't really want to leave, but you need that CRM. And because, by the way, our brokerage in California provides 2 CRMs. We have Commissions Inc. and we have KV Core. So Commissions Inc. is like one of the #1 rated CRMs out there. It's expensive. It costs us about I think we pay $5,000 a month for it to provide it, plus $5,000 a month. It's almost $6,000 for KV Core for our agents. So we're spending over $10,000 to give him 2 great CRMs. So I told him, look, if you really want that CRM, get it yourself. Get it. Spend the money. You've got to invest into your business. I told him, spend the money, get it. He goes, well, that would mean I'm paying $55 a month for KV Core, which $55 a month is what we charge for our error and emissions insurance, not for the software he gets for free. $55 a month for KV Core is what he said that was for, though. Plus, I'm going to pay an additional $300 a month for this other one. That's $4,200 a year, $4,600 a year. And I said, $4,600 a year, but you're talking like this is the change to your business. So you need to go buy that CRM. Go get it. If it's going to change your business, $4,200 a month, and you're going to get, that's half of a sale at today's volume, sale price, median sales price. So guys, you got to invest in your business. If that's the tool that you absolutely have to have, then yeah, like Jeff said, pay for it yourself. Go get it. It's a cost of doing business. Are you running a business or not? And you're going to have to pay. If you wanted to go open up a Taco Bell franchise, you're going to pay minimum $150,000 to $300,000 for that franchise. You only paid like $2,000 to start this business, $2,500 maybe. Only
2 weeks.
Yeah.
2
You've got to
weeks.
invest into your business. Holy mackerel, guys. This is a company you're building. Build your company. It's so needed. I love that. I'm going to play something real quick, and this might start up some more questions before we wrap this up. We're almost done here. This is the book that I'm reading right now, guys. When you're starting a business, starting a company, when you're building something and growing, there's 2 different places that I suggest. Eisenhower Coaching and Consulting that we provide everyone in both these brokerages. You get access to that. There's a really good one called Increasing Profitability with Entrepreneurship. Another one called Leadership Strategies. I'm reading this book right now, John Maxwell. Rick Fuller talks about it in there as well, but there's a little bit. It's only about maybe 5-10 seconds here that I just want you to hear for a second.
That's true. If you want to see where someone develops into a champion, look at his daily routine. Former heavyweight champ Joe Frazier stated, you can map out a fight plan or a life plan, but when the action starts, you're down to your reflexes. That's where your road work shows. If you cheated on that in the dark of the morning, you're getting found out now under the bright lights. Boxing is a good analogy for leadership development because it's all about daily preparation.
So good. You've got to do it, guys. You got to do your daily prep to building this. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Build your business.
Cool.
Any questions? Anyone else have any comments on this today? This was pretty good, Jeff. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I think if I'm able to say something this morning in all of this is that I've learned is that we don't get instant gratification. We're so used to that. We're such a microwave society. We think everything's now, and it's not. If you're not a door knocker, that may be something you have to do. You have to get out of your comfort zone. To me, I found that when I started, I constantly kept doing that, and I didn't want to. But the more that I didn't do what I wanted to do, it really sharpened my skill to talk to people. And the more I did it, I noticed that all that neighborhood then started calling me, and I started helping the fireman, the teacher, all of that area, it just started to bloom. And so I think that if we get out of that normal thinking of, oh, I can just go on Google, Google's going to give me all my leads, which it does. I have a media team that, has offered to put everybody on my team on a Google. I just had 3 Google leads, because my team is on Google. And, we have our picture, all our information, that if I'm sick like today, I can say, I got you. I can put Dee Dee on. I can, they're part of my team, and they're going to say, awesome. Anybody part of you? And it's not blowing my head. It's just anybody part of you. We're confident that they're going to take care of us. So with all that said, I think that our mentality needs to get out of instant gratification. Go bust your butt out there. Your salespeople, those Kirby people and those, people that come and sell things at your house, they're doing it because they're trying to learn the skill as they get to every door. There's a situation every day that's different. Every day that's different. And I can tell you thousands of people, I'm not exaggerating that number, that said, you know what, you were the young lady that came to my house, year, and we're here because we need your help. I'm getting a divorce. This is what's happening. And, wow, I didn't know that. I didn't even know you. I didn't even know I was at your door talking to you. So I think consistency, and yes, I agree 100%. We need to have calendar. Get your dang calendar. Put what you're doing every hour on the hour and stick to it, because it is something that does pay off. In my calendar, I have green. My green means it's my money making time. You're not going to get in that time. And that's when I'm calling. That's when I'm going back, looking at my, whoever has chimed in on my Google page, because out of every closings, I decided to take that 3%, that 1%, and say, okay, I'm going to build my Google profile, and I'm going to make sure that I use that money for a, social media team or whatever, so that those leads can come in, because one sale will pay off. We'll pay it off. We'll pay off what you're paying.
That's
so
right.
Invest back on every closing you get. Invest back in yourself, and get out of that norm in your head. Instant gratification
I
does
know a young
not
guy that
happen.
every single sale he does, he gets a billboard for that month. He gets a billboard for that month. A little portion goes towards his marketing budget, and he markets. Every sale he does that. And
Yes.
Mimi, I'm telling you, the more you talk, the better your voice got. You should just go all out and start talking, girl.
Oh no, man, it hurts. My chest hurts. I have
Yeah,
influenza.
you did a good job. You did a good job. She's talking about getting uncomfortable, guys. Getting through this fear zone into the learning zone, and the growth zone is where you want to sit. And if you're stuck in this bubble as a brand new agent, the only way is to get uncomfortable. You got to get out there and try those new things. If you don't like door knocking, I'm sorry, it's still a job. Even though it's a job you work for yourself, you still got to do the hard things that you don't typically like to do. You got to do it. Get uncomfortable. Go try some of those things. Don't let anyone get in your way or get in your head. Don't be affected by others. Come on, you got to get into that learning zone. Show up to more of these meetings like this. Get involved. Speak up. If you're wanting to get uncomfortable and actually become the celebrity of the area and worried about getting social, and start by showing your face on these. Start showing your face on these. Let us see who you are. If you're worried about getting uncomfortable on social media and showing your face, get on some Zooms and undo your screen so we can see who you are and speak up.
Hey, Shawn, this is a method of door knocking. We're door knocking on each other's doors. Hello, what do you got? What do you have? What did you?
That's right.
We're door knocking on each other's doors. If we can't talk between you and us, what are we doing? Don't
right.
go get a job at McDonald's, bro. Because what are you doing? For
right.
real. Sorry, I'm
And
grumpy. I'm grumpy.
no, I like that, because there's a finite difference between being consistent and because like with lead gen stuff, like kind of like you got to get that through that growth thing and see if it works. You can't just do one thing once and be like, oh, it didn't work. Well, that's not how lead gen works anywhere. But then the big thing that's a difference in from a solo agent to someone starting a small business is tracking all that stuff. You got to track it, because the tracking of it is what will allow you to stop doing it at some point. That's what stops you from doing it. The tracking of like, there's no ROI here. Why are we going to keep doing this? Like, but if you don't track things, you'll never be able to know what you're doing. You're just constantly doing it, right? So there's wisdom enough to stop doing something because your tracking's told you that's dumb, and oh, we're not going to do it anymore because it didn't work one time. There's those two things. Those are different, right?
Totally.
So
that's so
and then
good.
Shawn, one last thing, if I can take you here, you talk about, as you're growing, as you're building, maybe I don't have the time to go out and do certain things. And this is where I hired a high school kid and said, hey, look, I got 2 neighborhoods. I've been farming for years. Hey, I'll pay you 20. I'm going to give you 35 flyers because I know that little cul-de-sac is 35. Go for it. That's extra money for them. And now you're not doing it. And you've given that off to them. And they're still flyering for you.
That poor kid needed that gas money, man. You started his life.
So this
gave
is
him
the
a
way
feeling
that
of real estate.
you're growing you, but you're still providing, a job for this little one or whatever. And you know what? I will tell you, I 100% got listings from that. So there is a way to, to continue to keep making, what do you call it? Duplicating yourself.
Yeah. That was Jeff's words in the beginning. So
can I add something?
sure.
I would also suggest like stopping at like where you see like a bunch of people working and stuff. Like I've gone to social workers' offices and I've talked to them and they're happy to hear from me. Or like yesterday at 7, it was like I think 6 in the morning. I was running, jogging where I usually jog at, and there was a bunch of like the county workers. They're doing a new park in Visalia. And then I just stopped and talked to all of them. It was like maybe 15 guys, and I just handed my card. They asked me a bunch of questions. I got their information, and I do that everywhere I go. Tony knows. I'm like, Tony, stop the car. We're gonna stop because I'm gonna talk to these people real quick, and then I'll just stop and I'll talk to all the people that are right there. And that's
Man,
gotten me.
way to go, girl. I love it. Get
Yeah,
uncomfortable, talk to everybody.
But see, I have never in 17 years done Legion by talking to construction workers. See, there's a bajillion options. But
And then
now,
they're at new construction. You know, they don't talk to them. They're just there to
yeah,
work.
yeah.
They'll call me and ask me all kinds of questions.
You already know they got a job. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
So I'm like, employ people. I'm gonna give them my card.
So good.
They think I'm crazy,
But now you
but
track that. But now you track that. So all those people have a little tag in your CRM saying construction worker jog. And then over the next year, you're like, how many of those construction workers bought? Boom.
yeah. And then I'll
Like-
I'll have them when they're super interested and like I see they're interacting with me and we kind of vibe. I'll give them extra cards because I always have a bunch of cards on me. And I'm like, if you know anybody else, let me know or let them know about me and give them my card too.
Pass it on. That's
Here
right.
was two of my biggest hits. I took the lender and a flyer and we posted it up at the Reese Foods in Dinuba. Tons of clients through there. We went
Nice.
on a Monday and a Sunday to the remate, the swamp meet. We started passing out flyers.
I've done that
Tons of
too.
people. So it doesn't have to be a physical door. It could be literally businesses you're posting if they allow you. It could be remates.
Social media.
It's great. Yeah, you know,
I
just
love the
ideas.
business card concept of passing it out. Let me give you a little next level, Itza, is walk up to them. All you need is your cell phone and say, start chatting with them like you did and say, how about this? Let me text you guys my number and just respond back with your name. What's your number? Text them your number. Now you got their contact information. Because the problem is we don't have those people to follow up with now unless you happen to walk by them again and see them again. You know they know you now. That's why open houses are so successful. Because they met you face to face. You met
Even
them
like
face to face.
putting your card everywhere and being all over because well, my husband works in Farmersville, so I have like cards all over Farmersville, flyers all over Farmersville, and there's people that are texting me and they're like, "Oh, I see your card and your face everywhere. Like, I feel like I have to reach out to you and like, can you help me buy a house?"
That's it.
Nice, man.
That's
Good job,
it.
girl.
So
Love it.
crazy how they feel like they need to call me because they see me so often.
So good. Love it. All right, guys, that's our time. Thank you guys for today. Make sure you're here every Wednesday. We love it. We'll bring Jeff back again because obviously this opened up a ton of good conversation. We went a full hour. So thanks, guys.